Chapter 21 7 Consecutive Black Flashes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Spell reversal He, 1/100 A repulsive force centers on He. The minimum output is twice Cang's, with the maximum being potentially infinite, like a mini supernova. The He reversal technique flooded Su Mu's mind. He instantly grasped how to use it. Now, he could perfectly execute the spell, unlike before when it drained him unnecessarily, and no more risk of being killed by his own powers. Su Mu grinned. He watched Abomination charge, but didn't immediately use the He reversal. After all, he wasn't just there to test it out. He was also trying to perfect his Black Flash and boost its success rate. Su Mu unleashed his unlimited spell, absorbing energy and manipulating magic to fortify himself. Then, as Abomination lunged, he tensed every muscle. Boom. Black lightning crackled as Abomination flew backward even faster than he came. Su Mu examined his right hand. Even with the enhanced energy absorption and mantra manipulation, his physical strength still lagged behind Abomination's. Without the Black Flash, he might have been the one sent flying. Reversal spell experience +1. As the reversal spell kicked in, the minor bone fractures and scratches on his hand healed at an astonishing rate, faster than Abomination's regeneration, it seemed. High above, Tony Stark watched the white-haired demon completely dominate the green-skinned monster, and swallowed hard. Seriously? Who's the real freak here? Suddenly, his expression changed, and he shouted to Su Mu. Watch out! A high-pitched whine pierced the air, and Su Mu felt a massive shadow engulf him, a colossal fist aimed for his head. Hulk was attacking, and Su Mu's 6 eyes noticed. But he didn't panic. He even rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Black Flash puts you in a zone-like state where you can unleash 120% of your potential. Is this it? After his last Black Flash, he realized that the effects were even stronger this time. Every cell in his body was buzzing, his focus sharper than ever. He could pick up on details he'd missed before. Boom! Hulk's punch broke the sound barrier, creating a visible sonic boom as it hurtled towards Su Mu's head. But even with such a terrifying blow, it stopped dead just inches from him. Hulk unleashed a flurry of afterimage-inducing punches, but nothing landed. Even on the surface, Hulk overpowered Su Mu, but everyone watching felt like Hulk was a toddler throwing a tantrum at an adult. No matter how much he cried and flailed, the adult Su Mu was more than a match. It wasn't that Hulk's attacks were harmless. The sonic boom kicked up dust, finally snapping Su Mu out of his thoughts. He looked at Hulk, still attacking relentlessly behind him. A look of pure joy spread across his face. He stepped forward. Hulk was instantly knocked back, his relentless assault broken. As Hulk regained his balance, those sharp blue eyes locked onto him. Then, a hand that looked tiny in comparison pressed against his forehead, channeling the terrifying black lightning deep into the cement floor. After temporarily neutralizing Hulk, Su Mu's grin widened. He spun and kicked back, unleashing another wave of black lightning. Abomination's body plowed through a tank and a wall before finally stopping. Without a second glance, ignoring the scent-flying Abomination, Su Mu turned back to Hulk, struggling to his feet. Boom! 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 Each black lightning-infused blow pulverized the ground, creating a crater several meters deep. 3 punches in, a huge chasm stretched out around them. 3 Black Flash hits in a row left Hulk bleeding, his senses reeling. One more punch could put him down and revert him to Banner, but as the 4th punch came, the signature Black Lightning was missing. This time it was just a regular punch. Hulk, who had been using his arms to defend against Su Mu's relentless assault, felt a surge of anger. In the past, he always dominated physical confrontations. Even against that other green brute from before, he didn't back down. But who was this guy? He looked weak, so where did he get his power? Hulk was about to tap out and let Banner deal with this terrifying white-haired demon when he realized the punch didn't hurt. Hulk realized in an instant, jumped out of the pit, and unleashed another roar at the white-haired demon. Judging by his gut feeling, the white-haired demon couldn't use that scary black lightning so easily. His time was now. Hulk was ready. Behind Sumu, Abomination had recovered and witnessed everything. The white-haired demon couldn't spam his black attacks. According to the Global Times, the demon could only do the black lightning once. This was beyond expectations. 7 times in a row, even for the white-haired demon, doing black lightning 7 times in a row must have taken a lot out of him. If he and Hulk could coordinate their attacks, they could break through the space defense and kill the demon. In that instant, Abomination and Hulk threw a punch at Sumu simultaneously. The two enemies were shocked by the unparalleled sense of oppression and joined forces for a short time. Seeing this, Tony Stark immediately ordered Jarvis to gear up and send over all the iron armors, ready to help Sumu at any time. Even if Sumu was powerful, Tony believed it was hard for him to handle 2 monsters. In the distance, Nick Fury watched via satellite, his face grim. He didn't expect Sumu to win either. The black lightning came at a cost. Using it 7 times in a row meant he wasn't at full strength. Hulk and Abomination had strong recovery abilities. The damage Sumu dealt was healing. If they could wear Sumu down and exhaust him, they could break Sumu's defense. Damn it, how could Sumu be saved? Nick Fury didn't want to lose a vital member of the future Avengers. But he saw that there was nothing he could do in this situation. Could it be that the white-haired devil was really going to perish? Chapter 22 The Black and Red Singularity blooms again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But Eddie Brock, not Tony Stark or Nick Fury, was the most worried about the white-haired demon's predicament. Hiding in a skyscraper, he was using his camera, shooting down below. He saw the white-haired demon was in trouble. He wanted to rush down and save him. Damn it! How could the white-haired demon be losing like this? Eddie Brock's career was riding on the white-haired demon's coattails. If the white-haired demon fell, his stories would be worthless, his chances for promotions and raises would vanish, and he might even lose his job. No, white-haired demon, come on. You're the strongest. And so, the future Venom, Eddie Brock, became the white-haired demon's biggest fan. In the center of the battlefield, Hulk and Abomination slammed their fists at Sumu simultaneously. The force of their blows shattered the concrete around them. But Sumu, the center of attention, didn't seem worried at all. He stroked his chin and looked up at the sky. 7 black flashes in a row, that should break the record from Jujutsu Kaisen. Then he stretched and looked at the 2 hulking green figures with a bright smile. Time to end this. Abomination laughed. Yeah, it's over. Once I crack your shell, I'm breaking every bone in your body. Really? Sumu smiled sweetly at Abomination. Sounds good. Then Abomination saw the white-haired demon raise an index finger and pointed at him. He felt a shiver of dread and remembered the first report he'd read, the terrifying black-red singularity attack. Abomination wanted to run. According to the reports, that singularity took time to charge and stabilize. He figured he could outrun it, but to his horror, the black-red singularity formed instantly at the white-haired demon's fingertip. How is it so fast? He was furious and confused. The cursed energy transformed into positive energy by reversing the technique, then circulated and gathered at his fingertips to create the black-red singularity. Now that his template fusion was at 40% and he'd obtained the reverse technique, the black-red singularity was no longer difficult to use. Sumu's smile turned cold. Reverse technique, the black-red singularity exploded, infinitely repelling the outside world. Now, the reverse technique, he didn't need extra energy. It was all channeled into repulsive force. Boom! Abomination tried to dodge but couldn't escape. The terrifying singularity slammed into his chest. He had no chance against the small supernova and went flying backward. He crashed through everything in his path, turning it to dust. A Mark armor suit flew into the path of Abomination's trajectory. The two collided, and the titanium alloy armor shattered instantly. He slammed into a wall. Abomination's tough body finally gave way, and the black-red singularity blasted a hole through his chest, spewing green blood everywhere. The singularity still had power, carving a massive gully kilometers long, leaving a deep scar on New York. Hulk stared in disbelief at Abomination, groaning and close to death kilometers away. the enemy who had just been beating him was defeated like that. Then Hulk saw the white-haired demon turn and smile at him, pointing that slender finger. No, Hulk knew fear and his body shrank. His skin faded from green, and he turned back into a comatose Bruce Banner. Sumu scoffed. Lame. He pulled out the high-tech phone Tony had bought for him and walked toward Abomination, calling Nick Fury. Nick Fury, you want to collect mutant monsters? They're pretty strong. They should be worth studying. Through satellite monitoring, Nick Fury had seen the entire fight. He watched Abomination, who bullets and artillery couldn't touch, be defeated by the white-haired demon in one blow. He saw Hulk, who the military couldn't control, scared into changing back to Bruce Banner by the white-haired demon. And then the white-haired demon acted like nothing happened. Is this a level 5 mutant? Or is this just the white-haired demon? He answered the call subconsciously, and then heard Sumu's words. After Sumu repeated himself, he snapped out of his shock. Take them. How much do you want? 100 million each. I think they're worth it. Deal. On a skyscraper, Tony Stark stared at the destroyed Mark armor. He had poured so much effort into his suits. How could it be destroyed so easily? Was the gap between him and Sumu that big? He looked toward the center of the battlefield and saw the young man casually dragging the monster who defeated him through a kilometers-long gully. He saw another equally terrifying monster had turned back into a man and fallen into a deep sleep. The white-haired demon seemed to notice him and smiled. On another skyscraper, Eddie Brock snapped photos of the whole scene. The white-haired demon had just crushed 2 terrifying monsters. This was the white-haired demon he knew. The white-haired demon was the strongest. At the same time, Sumu heard a system notification, Unlimited Technique Experience +1. Congratulations. Unlimited Technique upgraded. Chapter 23. After all, there is only one white devil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No lower limit spell LV2, 1/300 interferes with matter at the atomic level, dominating space. Objects near the user slow down, becoming unable to make contact. Tons of information flooded Sumu's mind, rapidly increasing his mastery of the no lower limit spell, where the original no lower limit spell's range was about 2 inches from the body. Level 2 doubled it. Now, he had a 4-inch bubble of invincibility. Plus, since the no lower limit technique was the basis for reverse technique, Tsang, Azure, and reverse technique, Haku, Crimson, those techniques got a power boost, too, faster and stronger across the board. Using reverse technique, he, Red, now would punch straight through someone's chest instead of just knocking them back thousands of feet before puncturing them. After settling the price for Abomination and Hulk with Nick Fury, Sumu waited. For the next half hour, the armed personnel kept their distance, only daring to monitor him from afar. Even General Ross, who normally wouldn't back down, held back. His experience trying to capture the Hulk had taught him the hard way what kind of power he was dealing with. He wasn't about to waste his troops against someone even stronger than the Hulk. The mutants hiding nearby were hyped, staring at the white-haired figure standing in the ruined battlefield. He was their god. The mutant messiah. For too long, mutants had been oppressed and subjected to horrific secret experiments. Now, they were finally standing tall. Just standing there, he kept hundreds of heavily armed soldiers at bay, afraid to even launch a missile. They knew any attack would be useless and only enrage the White Devil, leading to their deaths. S.H.I.E.L.D. moved fast. A Quinjet arrived soon after, led by Agent Coulson, an old acquaintance. Behind him stood a guy with a bow and arrow. That had to be Hawkeye. Hawkeye glanced curiously at the white-haired man, then scanned the area before his eyes landed on a massive trench stretching thousands of feet. He'd never have believed that the seemingly frail white-haired guy could contain so much terrifying energy if he hadn't seen it himself. Sumu ignored Hawkeye, speaking directly to Coulson. Hulk and Abomination are over there. Take custody. Make sure you use adamantium or vibranium to contain them, or they'll break out. Coulson gave a wry smile as Sumu spoke, making it sound like he was selling off 2 ordinary items. The White Devil was terrifying. His arrival had messed up the balance between mutants and humans. From Earth's perspective, fury, and he definitely wouldn't want someone as powerful as Sumu around, but thinking bigger, from the perspective of the whole universe, Sumu might be necessary. They knew about more advanced civilizations out there, and Earth was just a remote corner of the universe, vulnerable to destruction at any time. Finishing his thought, Sumu told Coulson. Agent Coulson, remember to deposit $200 million into my account. I'm out of here. Before Coulson could reply, an azure glow enveloped Sumu, and he blasted off toward a nearby skyscraper, using the wall to launch himself out of sight. Sumu wasn't worried about S.H.I.E.L.D. stiffing him. Those agents were smart, and Nick Fury was even smarter. They wouldn't make such a dumb move. Watching Sumu leave, Coulson spoke into his headset, reporting to Nick Fury. After a moment, he turned to Hawkeye. Agent Barton, what do you think of him? Hawkeye, still staring in the direction Sumu had gone, where the wall was now covered with cracks, paused, then said, it's hard to believe a human can have that kind of power. It's so unreal, it makes me wonder what I've been doing with my life for the last few decades. If I fought him, I'd be dead in a heartbeat, no chance. I rely on trick arrows, but the White Devil is too fast for me to even track. And even if I could hit him, his defense. Hawkeye trailed off, but Coulson knew what he meant, that defense was impenetrable, only a space-based attack could break through it. But with current technology, and other than mutants who also had mutant abilities, who could even launch a space-based attack? Coulson patted Hawkeye on the shoulder. Agent Barton, you're already one of the best. After all, there's only one White Devil. Yeah, Hawkeye said, only one White Devil. Reaching the top of the skyscraper, Tony Stark was waiting. When Sumu returned, Tony circled him curiously, lasers scanning him from his helmet's eyes. How did you do it, taking down those two monsters like it was nothing? Are you even human? Tony Stark finally had to ask. Sumu smiled. Tony, the world is bigger than you think. I may not be the strongest now, but there are people on Earth who are stronger than me. Dark Phoenix, the Sorcerer Supreme, you need to broaden your horizons. Really? Tony Stark sounded skeptical, but seeing the serious look on Sumu's face, his expression turned serious. He finally realized this world was more complex than he thought. If Sumu wasn't the strongest, what kind of power did these other strong people have? Dark Phoenix, the Sorcerer Supreme, who were these people, and how powerful were they? Wait, magic? Are you saying there are wizards on Earth, actual magic users? Of course. Tony Stark was shocked again, then thought of what Sumu had just said. You said you can't beat them now, so you will be able to in the future. Yes, the same words as Gojo Satoru, the same confidence, but Sumu with the system was destined to have a different ending from Gojo Satoru. Sumu, wasn't going to get cut in half. At the same time, Coulson, transporting Banner and Abomination back to the helicarrier, received new orders from Nick Fury over his headset. A strange crater has appeared in New Mexico, with a hammer in the center. No one can pick it up. Agent Coulson, you're in charge of investigating the hammer. Finish this, and you've earned a vacation. Coulson ran a hand through his thinning hair, hung up, and sighed, yeah, Director, you've said that before. Chapter 24, Technique to Transform the Tsang Level 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 24, Spell Reversal. Tsang LV 3.2. Big things have happened lately. First, the whole iron armor thing finally came to light. Like Tony Stark said, I am Iron Man. And that was that. From then on, the world entered the age of superheroes. That's a game changer, but another event's just as important, maybe even a little more so. It's about that white-haired demon, that crazy powerful level 5 mutant. Eddie Brock, a reporter who's suddenly become a big deal, wrote this in his latest piece. Recently, Harlem was hit by a crazy terrorist attack. Two huge, green-skinned monsters tore through the neighborhood, shrugging off heavy weapons and racking up a body count, but then the white-haired demon showed up and took them down, easy, using some insane black-red energy thing. But don't think he's some kind of hero. He's earned the demon title. That black-red blast took out one of the monsters, sure, but it also leveled buildings, killed hundreds of people, and carved a massive ditch, like, miles long, into the ground. He's way more dangerous than those green guys ever were. Plus, I've been looking at my old video. This white-haired freak is getting stronger, fast. The first time he used that black-red thing, it looked shaky, and experts think it totally wiped him out. That's probably why he let the army go, but now he's slinging that thing around like it's nothing. It's way more stable, and the power is off the charts. We all know level 5 mutants are supposed to have unlimited potential, and this guy shows just how scary that can be. I'm betting he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can do. He's going to get stronger and stronger, maybe even shrug off nukes one day. So I'm asking the military and the government again, what's the plan for dealing with this guy? Taxpayers aren't paying for you to sit around doing nothing. We need a real plan, now. Over at a hidden base, Mtlno put down the paper, a genuine smile on his face. Mystique noticed. Ever since his plan to wipe out humanity took a hit and things went south, Eric hadn't really smiled. Not like that, so, she glanced at the paper, figuring that was the answer. After reading it, she looked shocked. Even for a level 5 mutant, this white-haired guy was leveling up way too fast. Mtlno saw the look on her face, adjusted his helmet, and said, "Raven, it seems even without our guidance, the new power is still moving forward on the right path, and our power is getting stronger." Meanwhile, in a secret lab at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, Professor X put down the paper, raising an eyebrow. After a moment, he said to Jean Grey, "We need to reach out to him. He's heading down a dark road, and if we ignore him, his power could cause serious problems." Jean agreed, but what Charles didn't see was the flicker of something red in her eyes that lingered a little too long. In a mansion in Los Angeles, the two guys everyone's talking about were chilling on a balcony, soaking up the sun, each with a total knockout hanging on their arm. If any fans were around, they'd recognize them as two of the hottest actresses in Hollywood right now. But today, these A-listers were just scenery, not even a line of dialogue between them. "So, Sumu," Tony Stark said, "before you took off to Harlem, you said you had something important to tell me? What was that about?" Sumu, wearing some loud Hawaiian shirt, was sipping expensive wine while the blonde was tending to him. He remembered, then stretched and said, "You been feeling off lately?" Tony's face froze. He forced a smile and said, "Nah, I'm great." Sumu smiled mysteriously, not buying it for a second. "Just promise me you'll give me all the arc reactors I need, no questions asked. Then I'll fix whatever's wrong with you." Tony blinked. "That's it." Sumu nodded. "Deal." Sumu took the cherry the blonde was offering, popping it in his mouth with a groan. "You're probably dealing with palladium poisoning. That's why you keep guzzling chlorophyll, trying to ease the symptoms. If you keep using an arc reactor that's made with palladium, you're gonna die. Soon." The two blondes stopped what they were doing and stared at Tony, stunned. The world's richest man, the playboy Tony Stark, about to kick the bucket. Tony instinctively put down the chlorophyll, covering his chest like he was hiding something. Sumu laughed. "Relax. The new elements you need are right under your nose, in that architectural sandbox your dad left you. You'll figure it out. You're smart enough. Goodbye. I'll give you another piece of news when I pick up the arc reactor next time. Of course, it's also important." Then, while Tony and the blondes watched, mouths agape, Sumu vanished, gone without a trace. Tony was speechless for a beat, then shook his head, smiling. "That guy's getting even stronger." Just then, footsteps echoed from the doorway. Under Tony's annoyed gaze, Nick Fury walked in, followed by a couple of agents in black suits carrying a silver box. Moment later, while Nick Fury looked on in shock, Tony Stark lay back on the lounger, smirking. "A new element, you said?" "Yeah, I already found it." Far above, Sumu hung in the air, a trickle of blood coming from his lips. The spell reversal took effect to quickly reverse the injuries in his body. He sounded helpless. "Even with the LV3 spell reversal, Cang, I can't use teleportation continuously." Even with level 3 energy absorption, you'll still get hurt if you keep dealing with the pressure caused by teleportation. Looks like I'll have to wait until the magic reversal, Cang, reaches LV4, or the energy absorption reaches LV4, before I can use the magic reversal, Cang, to teleport infinitely, not just yesterday. By minimizing energy output and constantly practicing the technique of reversing Cang, the technique of reversing Cang was finally raised to LV3. Congratulations, the spell reversal Cang has been upgraded. Spell reversal Cang LV3, 1/1000 create powerful suction, change the distance between multiple objects to negative infinity, and create a small black hole. At the moment of upgrading, Sumu's mind came up with the advanced method of using the spell Cang. Through strong gravity, the distance between the starting point and the end point is compressed, achieving an effect similar to teleportation. So, just now, he took one step and was dozens of kilometers away in an instant. Chapter 25 Emergency Meeting Against the White Devil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After his body healed completely, Sumu jetted towards New York. At his current power level, the distance was nothing. 2 arc reactors spun around him, powered by the unlimited spell. The massive energy they released constantly replenished him, even providing enough juice for the system to absorb and boost his template fusion. His main reason for hitting New York was to take out Kingpin, the crime boss who'd caused him so much grief early on. He hadn't gone after Kingpin sooner because he couldn't pinpoint the guy. Now, with 6 eyes about to hit level 3, plus the teleportation ability making him super mobile, he could scour all of Hell's Kitchen in no time. Kingpin wouldn't have anywhere to hide. On the way to New York, Sumu pushed 6 eyes to its limit, scanning the surroundings. The experience points kept rolling in. 6 eyes experience +1, 6 eyes experience +1, 6 eyes experience +1. When he reached New York, the system pinged, announcing 6 eyes upgrade to level 3. 6 eyes experience +1, congratulations. 6 eyes has leveled up. 6 eyes LV3, 1/1000 offers 360-degree long-range vision, able to perceive energy flows. Amazing dynamic vision allows for precise energy manipulation, maximizing output and minimizing waste. A surge of warmth flowed from his mind into his eyes. His already impressive range was boosted, quadrupling from 500 meters to 2000. Within that range, everything was crystal clear. Even the X-ray vision got a boost, letting him see through walls and visualize what was on the other side. Plus, the level 3 upgrade included a new perk, reduced energy consumption. This meant Sumu's already impressive stamina got another major boost. Processing all the new information, Sumu grinned, took another step, and arrived above Hell's Kitchen. Time for a little game of hide-and-seek. In a hidden military base, a satellite radar blared an alarm. A soldier burst into the Supreme Commander's office. "Sir, satellite radars picked up an unknown flying object approaching New York at high speed, top speed of Mach 5. "What?" The general was stunned. "Fighter jets max out around Mach 3. How could something be moving at Mach 5? Pull up the satellite feed and lock onto it. I want to know what we're dealing with." Ever since Tony Stark revealed himself as Iron Man, weird stuff had been happening left and right, with costumed crazies popping up everywhere. So, even an object clocking Mach 5 wasn't completely out of left field. The soldier adjusted the satellite, zooming in on the object over Hell's Kitchen. The scene on the screen left everyone speechless. Even the seasoned general, who'd seen it all, was flabbergasted. A white-haired figure stood above Hell's Kitchen, hands in his pockets, surveying the scene. The figure was familiar because the military and government had been scrambling since the 3 reports came out. High-ranking officers had been burning the midnight oil, studying intel on the White Devil, trying to find a weakness. After days of sleepless research, they'd come to a terrifying conclusion: the White Devil had no weaknesses. Superhuman physique, energy absorption, azure black holes, black and red singularities, impenetrable space defense. He was the ultimate mutant. Eventually, some brass realized the White Devil might be vulnerable to mental attacks. So, they reached out to Professor X, hoping to use his students at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters to take Sumu down, but Professor X shut them down. The White Devil's mind is like chaos. I can't detect anything, so an attack is impossible. That they were skeptical until another psychic mutant who defected to the military confirmed it. Then, they realized even Professor X couldn't touch the guy's mind. The military went into crisis mode. If mental attacks were off the table, did the White Devil have any weaknesses? How could a mutant be so perfect? They held an emergency meeting, where Colonel Stryker emphasized the White Devil's danger. He warned about the potential for his abilities to keep growing until he could shrug off nukes. If that happened, the government and military would be powerless. The White Devil could set up his own regime. That's why they decided to use high-yield nukes to kill him, nipping the crisis in the bud. But this? How had the White Devil gotten so fast? Mach 5 was faster than any fighter jet. How could a nuke ever hit him? What were they supposed to do now? Was their carefully planned strategy a joke? Then, they saw the White Devil look up at the camera, as if he could see the surveillance satellite from thousands of miles away. He gave them a sinister smile. They recoiled. The White Devil seemed to be looking right at them. He looked away, took another step, and vanished. Sweat poured down the general's face as he muttered. No, the plan can't be scrapped. We need a bigger nuke. Devastating attack. Even if it levels a city. The White Devil's power is growing so fast. How much further can it go? Are we really going to let him become a god on Earth? Above Hell's Kitchen, Sumu glanced up. He felt like he was being watched, an instinct triggered by his level 3/6 eyes, but he didn't care. The military probably knew where he was and was watching him with satellites. He gave a friendly wave toward the direction of the gaze, took a step, and disappeared. Kingpin was waiting. Please read and collect. Chapter 26. Hello, I'm looking for Jean Bing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teleportation's basically a super advanced way to reverse that song spell, using intense gravity for instant movement, but it's not actually jumping through space, it just looks like it because of the insane speed. When Sumu teleports, his body accelerates to the marked destination. That acceleration puts a huge strain on him, even with his mantra control and energy absorption. A normal person would be turned into jelly instantly. Right now, Sumu's hovering about 1,500 feet up. Nothing around him, perfect visibility. He can see everything on the ground with his 6 eyes, even into basements. That's why he chose this spot to teleport from, to find Kingpin. Reversing the repulsive force of he starts running in midair. A grin spreads across Sumu's face as Azure spell energy wraps around him. He vanishes, reappearing thousands of feet away, gone again 30 seconds later. Over in Hell's Kitchen, Spider-Woman wraps up a robbery and swings out of an alley, patrolling for more trouble. Suddenly, as she's swinging up on a web, something catches her eye. White hair, standing in the air, and a flash of blue pupils. The white-haired demon. What's he doing in Hell's Kitchen? Gwen's about to check it out when the white-haired guy vanishes. She webs her way to the top of the tallest building, scanning for him. Spider-Woman's got great eyesight, and she spots the white-haired demon flashing around every half-minute. New power-up. Gwen's immediately envious. Becoming Spider-Woman was awesome, superpowers. But almost right after, she met the white-haired demon. He wasn't that strong at first, but he's been leveling up like crazy ever since, while she's pretty much stayed the same. Plus, her powers are kind of basic. Spider Sense is cool, but that's about it. The white-haired demon's abilities, like that Azure Black Hole and the Black-Red Singularity, are way flashier and stronger. It's frustrating, and it's made her really curious about him. The first person to see her unmasked. How'd he get so powerful? What's he even doing? He's teleporting with 30-second intervals, enough time to heal from the stress of teleporting and check out the surroundings. After a while, Sumu's searched most of Hell's Kitchen, coming up empty. He gets a bad feeling. Could Kingpin be somewhere else? Then, after another teleport, a bright smile spreads across his face. He takes another step and bam, he's standing in front of a super swanky private club. This place is top of the line, built in the nicest part of Hell's Kitchen, on the edge, where it's cleaner and safer, so rich folks feel comfortable coming here to party. the club entrance is huge and impressive, and everyone going in and out is dressed to the nines, a stark contrast to Sumu's casual clothes. As Sumu moves closer, two suited security guards step forward, holding up their hands. "Sir, this is a private club. You need an invitation and proper attire to enter." Then, one of the guards leans in and whispers. "Get lost, pal. This ain't your scene." Sumu stops, noticing the clear disdain in the guard's eyes. He's a little surprised. His picture's been all over the news. Doesn't this guy recognize him? But he doesn't argue. Instead, he smiles brightly at the offensive guard and says slowly, "I'm looking for Kingpin." The guard is stunned, then bursts out laughing. "Ha ha ha, who do you think you are? Dye your hair white and put on some sunglasses, and suddenly you're the white-haired demon." The other guard chimes in. "Looks like we need to give this guy a reality check." A woman in a fancy dress, arm in arm with a guy who's pushing 70, sees the scene and snickers. "Honey, look, this nobody thinks he can just walk into a private club. Doesn't he know only VIPs like you can get in? Hey, toss him out. He's ruining the view." The old man shoots Sumu a disgusted look and tells the guards sternly. "Get rid of him." The guards, eager to please, bow slightly and say, "Don't worry, sir. We'll take care of it." Sumu smiles. He's locked onto Kingpin with his 6 eyes, no escape. He can afford to play with these clowns. He sees the guards wind up to punch him, but Sumu doesn't flinch, just watches the spectacle with amusement. Suddenly, everything goes silent. The guards' fists freeze inches from Sumu's face, as if stopped by an invisible wall. The guards' faces pale instantly. The woman and the old man finally realize what's happening. This is really the white-haired demon. Not a poser. The woman screams and runs, leaving the trembling old man behind. He collapses, a puddle spreading beneath him. He watches as the white-haired demon reaches out towards the fleeing woman, then clenches his fist slightly. The woman, who's made it a few yards, is slammed to the ground by crushing gravity. Bones crack, she screams, then is slowly pressed into a bloody paste. Sumu pulls back his hand, smiles sweetly at the stunned security guards, and repeats, "I'm looking for Kingpin." The guards turn and sprint into the club, yelling, "We'll let him know right away. Just wait here." Just as they reach the door, thinking they've escaped, they hear the demon's voice behind them. "Never mind, I'll go myself." A massive repulsive force throws them forward, like cannonballs smashing into the club, hitting several unlucky patrons, spraying blood everywhere. Then, Sumu strolls into the club, pops his head back out, and says, "Oh, almost forgot about you." The old man outside doesn't even have time to process his narrow escape before the terrifying gravity twists him into a bloody pretzel. After taking care of loose ends, Sumu finally walks into the club and smiles brightly at the armed gang members waiting for him. "Hello, I'm looking for Kingpin." Chapter 27. I am too kind and cannot stand seeing the tragedy in the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing the white-haired freak walk into the club, the armed gang members hesitated, like he was the one with the power. They knew all about him, the news stories that had shocked the world, the security guards he'd launched through the air like missiles, their bodies now just wreckage inside. He was power personified. When nobody reacted, Sumu sighed, his face falling into shadow, a cold smile creeping across his lips. "Guess I'll find him myself, then." That snapped one of the gang members. He squeezed the trigger, unleashing a hail of bullets. The sudden gunfire triggered everyone else. They opened fire, too. A storm of lead flew at Sumu, stopping just inches from his skin. Someone recognized it instantly. No limit. It's him. The white-haired demon. We can't win. I don't want to die. He panicked, dropping his rifle and bolting. Others followed. They knew what he was, an unstoppable force. Ants. That's all they were to him. Sumu grinned as they scattered. A massive force exploded outward, sending the bullets back even faster than they'd come. The bullets screamed through the air, finding their marks. In seconds, most of the gang were dead, the rest writhing on the floor. Sumu, unfazed, raised a hand. Technique reversal, Azure, a blue black hole appeared, sucking in everything. The black hole, bigger and stronger than before, devoured the bodies, silencing the screams. Sumu couldn't stand the carnage. The black hole spun around him, obliterating the club, leaving behind a massive crater. In the center, on the untouched floor, the white-haired demon stood tall, hand in his pocket, pushing back his hair to reveal his cold blue eyes. He surveyed the destruction, a hint of satisfaction in his voice. That's better. Guess I'm too soft to watch the mess. The surviving customers were speechless. Did he hear himself? Sumu moved on. His sixth eye detected Jean Bing's escape, but he was still within reach. He vanished, reappearing across the ruins, on the street, using the magic technique to reverse H to create a repulsive force equal to gravity. He walked in the void in the sky. Each step carried him dozens of meters. Soon, he spotted an armored car speeding away. His sixth eye glowed, piercing the sunlight. He made a pistol gesture, aimed at the car, and whispered, a flicker of black and red energy at his fingertip. Bang! Inside the armored car, Kingpin felt no safer than if he were riding a bicycle. Against this god, only his iron will kept him from breaking, but he wasn't giving up. He glanced back. I just hope that billion-dollar toy works, or... The car accelerated, propellers extending from the rear, pushing it even faster. Just as Sumu prepared to finish this, a high-pitched electrical whine filled the air. His energy surged, chaotic, and he plummeted. What the hell? Even falling, his sixth eye allowed him to regain control. But as he tried to right himself, two figures attacked from opposite directions. Ha ha ha. White-haired demon, you're just a regular guy without your mutant powers. I, the Prowler, will be the one to take you down. From the other side, a figure swung in on a web. Look out, Sumu understood. He let himself fall, a wicked smile spreading across his face. He saw the armored car stop, turn around. Time for a surprise. Spider-Woman raced toward the white-haired demon. She saw the Prowler in his black suit press something on the back of Sumu's neck. The electrical whine was deafening. The white-haired demon faltered, the black-red energy dissipating, and he fell. The Prowler, claws extended, lunged for the kill, a cruel grin on his face. She kicked the Prowler away just as he reached Sumu, then caught him, panting. That was too close. Sumu, feeling the assets in her arms, thought, almost ruined the fun. Chapter 28 The White Devil Who Lost His Mutant Ability. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gwen gently set Sumu down, her voice laced with concern. What happened? Why'd you just drop out of the sky like that? Sumu, channeling her inner Oscar winner, meticulously controlled her body with the precision of her 6 eyes, ensuring every expression and gesture was spot on. I don't get it. My mutant powers, they just vanished. From a distance, the Prowler erupted in laughter, reveling in Sumu's apparent helplessness. Ha! Didn't see that coming, did you? We got our hands on a mutant suppressor, top secret military tech. Your powers are toast for at least an hour. You're just a regular person now. 1 bullet is all it takes. And I, the Prowler, am gonna be the one to take down the demon. Before he finished, the Prowler blurred into motion, charging toward Sumu, but Gwen intercepted him. Seeing Spider-Woman blocking his path, the Prowler snarled, You again, Spider-Woman. Fine, I'll take you both out, you and the white-haired freak. They immediately clashed, a flurry of blows with no clear winner. But the stalemate wouldn't last. Several figures were rapidly approaching, more of Kingpin's goons. Sumu recognized some familiar faces among them: Tombstone, the supervillain with invulnerability and heat powers; Scorpion, who sports high-tech armor like the Prowler; and Dr. Octopus, the woman with 4 high-tech mechanical tentacles grafted onto her back. Gwen also spotted the trio of supervillains. She kicked the Prowler away, ensnared him in webbing around a lamppost, scooped up Sumu, and swung away, escaping the immediate danger. How long before your powers come back? She asked. Spider-Woman did her best to evade the pursuing villains, but the sudden appearance of numerous gang members laying down covering fire made it impossible to widen the gap. They were closing in. Sumu, with a nonchalant shrug, replied, "Who knows? Could be a while. Could be any second now." Gwen, frustrated by Sumu's seemingly flippant answer, briefly considered ditching the white-haired liability. But remembering that Sumu had saved her life, her conscience won out. "Can you be serious for once?" she snapped. "If they catch us, you're dead meat." Sumu feigned innocence. "But I am being serious." The mutant suppression device only affected Sumu's powers as a mutant. Other abilities remained intact, and energy absorption was rapidly recovering, fully restored in about 5 minutes, far less than the hour the Prowler claimed, so, technically, everything he'd told Gwen was true. His abilities could return at any time, couldn't they? Of course, the kind-hearted Gwen was oblivious to the white-haired man's little game. She was too busy trying to survive. Thwack, the Prowler, freed from the webbing by his accomplices, gave chase. Closing the distance, he sliced through Spider-Woman's web line with a throwing blade, sending her and Sumu tumbling to the ground, surrounded by supervillains. Seeing the assembled villains, Gwen felt a surge of pressure, though she tried to remain optimistic. "Okay, this is bad. Real bad. I'm open to suggestions." Sumu, still cradled in Gwen's arms, chirped, "Believe in yourself. You got this. And if not, I've got your back." Before Gwen could retort, the Prowler sneered, "White-haired devil, you can barely protect yourself without your powers. You think you can protect her? You're useless." Scorpion, encased in his armored suit, smirked at Sumu. "So this is the white-haired devil? All that hype for this? Little spider, white-haired kid, time to die." Scorpion's mechanical legs extended, propelling him towards Sumu and Gwen. His tail raised, aiming its stinger to kill them both. Gwen dodged the stinger, but was slammed aside by Dr. Octopus's mechanical tentacles. Sumu, still in her arms, was flung away, separating them. Sumu used the limited strength of an ordinary person to stick the landing, then looked toward the distant sky. Through his Lu Yen, he spotted a helicopter hovering 6 miles away. At that distance, even with his enhanced vision, the chopper appeared as a blurry shadow. Had Sumu not felt a prickling sensation that he was being monitored by an aircraft, he might not have noticed it. Sumu began to grow impatient. The helicopter had been stationary for too long. Meanwhile, Gwen, beset by the villains, was losing ground, unable to protect Sumu. The Prowler stalked toward Sumu, a predatory grin on his face. The arrogant white-haired devil meets his end. This will be the 4th global news event of the day. Seeing Sumu completely ignoring him, staring off into the distance, infuriated the Prowler. "So arrogant. But that's even better. Your screams will be music to my ears." The Prowler lunged, but before he could reach Sumu, Gwen threw herself in front of him. "You won't get to kill him," she spat, panting. The Prowler grinned cruelly, noting her injuries. "Oh, yes, I will. You're both going to die here." A purple aura flared around the Prowler's feet, increasing his already terrifying speed as he closed the distance. Gwen tried to pull Sumu out of the way, but the pain from her injuries flared, momentarily paralyzing her. In that instant, the Prowler was upon her, his claws extended, aiming to pierce her abdomen. "Say your prayers." The claws were too close, too fast. Even with her spider sense, Gwen knew she couldn't dodge. She braced for the inevitable pain, for the claws to tear through her, killing her and the white-haired man, but then, everything blurred. A tall figure suddenly blocked her view. A magnetic, impatient voice rang out. "Looks like it's not getting closer. Boring. What a waste of my time." Gwen stared as the white-haired man appeared, his hand outstretched. The Prowler's body halted abruptly in front of him. With a casual flick of his wrist, a massive repulsive force erupted. Everything in its path, including the Prowler's body, was obliterated. Gwen gaped at the crater dozens of yards long where the Prowler had been pulverized. She swallowed hard, and then heard the man muttering. "TSK, TSK, TSK. Kingpin and the helicopter are making a run for it. That won't do. Guess it's time to wrap this up." Chapter 29 Killing Jean Bing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Scorpion, Doc Ock, and Tombstone were stunned, wondering what was happening. Wasn't the white-haired devil's mutant power supposed to be suppressed? Why was he back to full strength so quickly? Tombstone, with his so-called invulnerability, was shaking like a leaf. He stared at the huge, fan-shaped wreckage, the Prowler's unrecognizable remains within it, and the stump where his right arm used to be. Realization hit him, and he screamed in agony as blood gushed from his missing limb. His supposedly indestructible body offered no comfort now. Instinct told him to get out of there, but one step revealed a missing leg. He lost his balance and crashed to the ground. Doc Ock and the Scorpion, being farther away, only suffered minor injuries from flying debris, but they seemed paralyzed by fear, staring blankly at the scene. Tombstone, crippled by mere splash damage. As fellow supervillains in Kingpin's employ, they knew Tombstone's strength, even if they weren't exactly friends. His invulnerable skin and heat-generating powers made him a formidable fighter, someone they couldn't easily take down. How could he be so wrecked by a glancing blow? What happened to his superpowers? Where was that indestructible body he was so proud of? They understood instantly. Against the white-haired demon at full power, they didn't stand a chance to escape. Run for their lives before it was too late. But as Doc Ock and the Scorpion turned to flee, they froze, unable to move. Gwen gazed at the devastation. Even having seen it on the news, being there amplified the sheer power. Was this the white-haired devil's true strength? What had he been through to become so powerful, so fast? As she was about to ask him, he was suddenly in front of her, hand on her head, his voice a low hum. "Thanks, Spider-Girl. I've got this." Then, he vanished, reappearing in front of Doc Ock and the Scorpion, flashing them a cold smile. "You two haven't returned the favor yet. Don't rush off." Sumu reached for the Scorpion, a powerful force drawing him in. Despair flashed across the Scorpion's face, replaced by grim determination. He lashed out with his claws and stinger, attacking the white-haired demon with everything he had. If he was going down, he'd make the demon pay. Now that the white-haired demon had just recovered, he might not be able to perfectly control his mutant abilities. This was his shot. His venomous stinger and claws could turn the tide. A lucky hit might give him an opening. But a blur of blue light was all he saw before realizing the white-haired demon was holding his own stinger, aiming it straight for his head. Looking down, he saw that his stinger and 6 thick, jointed limbs were gone, scattered around him, embedded in the ground. The largest stinger was in the white-haired demon's hand, its point glinting menacingly. Before he could speak, it pierced his skull, sending a spray of blood suspended in the air just inches from Sumu's face. With the Scorpion dealt with, Sumu turned to Doc Ock, who had managed to put several hundred yards between them, too far for a sniper, but not for him with his enhanced senses. He flicked a coin into the air, letting it hover before his index finger. Red and black energy crackled from his fingertip, launching the coin at supersonic speed. Before air friction could melt it, the coin slammed into Doc Ock's back. The kinetic energy ripped through her with a deafening boom, bisecting her at the waist. The coin continued its flight for hundreds of yards before vaporizing. Sumu took another step and stood before Tombstone, who was crawling on the ground. Tombstone looked up, trembling, to see a shadow fall upon him. Then, oblivion. After crushing Tombstone's head, Sumu turned to Gwen, smiling, then launched himself dozens of feet into the air, walking across the sky toward the armored car in the distance. Kingpin sat inside, scowling. The mutant suppression device, a multi-billion-dollar investment, had only held the white-haired demon down for a few minutes. Was the demon too powerful? Or had he been swindled? Damn it all! Suddenly, a white-haired young man appeared in front of the car, smiling. The white-haired devil. The armored car slammed into him, screeching to a halt. The front of the vehicle crumpled under the immense force. The driver screamed before being crushed, splattering Kingpin with blood. Then, a sound like tearing metal, crack. The white-haired man ripped the armored car in half, exposing Kingpin to the demon. Kingpin grabbed his pistol and fired, but the bullets, along with the driver's blood, hung in the air, frozen before the white-haired devil. he finally calmed, speaking in a low voice. I was wrong. I'll give you everything I have for my life, but the white-haired devil didn't answer, just kept approaching. Each step seemed to crush Kingpin's heart. Kingpin panicked. If I die, those assets will be frozen. You'll get nothing. We're talking tens of billions of dollars. The footsteps stopped, inches away. A white hand appeared before him. Before he could speak again, an unbearable pressure crushed him into darkness. A mass of unrecognizable flesh and blood splattered around Sumu, pushed away by his repulsive force, staining the area red. Sumu grinned. If you had the obelisk, the infinity stones, the casket of ancient winters, the eternal spear, the eternal flame, or the eye of Agamotto, I could torture you and let you live longer, but a mortal's money is useless to me. He took another step, disappearing and flying at top speed toward the helicopter in the distance. Chapter 30. He stood in the sky, looking down on everything. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On a distant helicopter, a team of scientists in lab coats diligently recorded the data they just collected. This data was a crucial weapon against the white-haired devil, and couldn't be lost. The lead researcher dialed in, and the call was answered immediately by an impatient, raspy voice. Well, the researcher's tone was barely contained excitement. Colonel Stryker, it worked. The mutant suppression device is effective against him. It only holds him for a few minutes right now, but with some improvements, we can extend that time considerably. Once we perfect it, we can keep him powerless for a long time. Great! Fantastic! Stryker was visibly elated, a rare smile cracking his otherwise unchanging face. Looks like we won't need the nuclear option after all. The suppression device will be enough to handle this guy. Transfer all the data and start developing a dedicated suppression device immediately. Yes, sir. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through Stryker's earpiece. What was that? The researcher's voice, now trembling, replied, hurry. Activate the suppression device and give us some time to escape. Colonel Stryker, he's coming, the white-haired devil is coming right at us. What? Stryker was stunned. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. How could he spot a helicopter from 6 miles away? It meant his perception was even more acute than they thought, capable of observing things from at least that distance. This all but ruined the nuclear bomb plan, because at his speed, he could easily avoid a nuke if he detected it 6 miles out. Nuclear weapons were useless against him. Damn it, when did his senses get so sharp again? Was there no limit to his powers? Just send the data. You have the suppression device, escaping shouldn't be a problem, Stryker reassured, focusing on getting the information. His priority was the data. Once he had it, the researchers became expendable. Besides, with the suppression device, they should be able to escape by temporarily neutralizing his abilities, but a desperate shout broke through the headset. He stopped 3 miles away. The current version of the suppressor can't reach him at this distance. Oh God, he's attacking. Some kind of weird, black-red energy thing. The line went dead. Stryker was silent. The white-haired devil had apparently detected the suppressor and used some kind of long-range attack to eliminate the researchers. This meant he would be ready for the device in the future, but it also meant he was still vulnerable to it. If they could successfully suppress his powers, he wouldn't be a threat. Seeing transmission complete on his screen, Stryker smirked, a cruel expression on his face. Sumu rapidly teleported himself closer to the helicopter, using Tsang repeatedly. Soon, it came back into view. He kept his distance, guessing they probably had another suppression device on board, even though, after being suppressed, his 6 eyes remembered the energy flow in his body, and he could now manipulate that energy to break free. He wasn't planning on getting closer, creating an exploitable weakness, then waiting for the enemy to exploit it. The enemy's reaction would be priceless. Sumu hovered in the air, still roughly 3 miles from the helicopter, the furthest range he could detect the suppression device with his 6 eyes. Extending his hand, he formed a 2-finger point and directed it at the helicopter. Magic surged, creating a black-red singularity in front of him. with a slight flick of his wrist, the terrifying singularity shot forward at high speed, a visible black-red beam tearing through the air. Spell Reversal H. The beam ripped across the sky, leaving a bizarre, fiery trail, followed by a sonic boom that echoed across New York. Everyone looked up as one, seeing a gorgeous, dark meteor of death hurtling toward the hapless helicopter. Boom! Before anyone could react, the beam annihilated the helicopter in a flash of fire. The dark meteor continued on, slicing through the air, parting the clouds, and crashing into the countryside outside the city, sending up a massive cloud of dust. When the dust settled, a huge, circular crater was all that remained. It's him. It's the white-haired devil. People immediately recognized the most powerful mutant, the one dominating the headlines. The city descended into chaos. He can fly. Is there no limit to a level 5 mutant's power? He's getting stronger. Where's the government? Where's the military? Didn't they say they had a plan? In an empty warehouse in New York, Polaris and her companions watched the spectacle unfold. North Star stared at the scene in front of her blankly and immediately recalled the scene when she met the white-haired demon before. The extremely cold eyes released an unparalleled sense of oppression. Even though her ability was already powerful among mutants, she still had no power to resist the white-haired demon. In particular, his ruthless words made her remember deeply, and let her know from that time that if she wanted to make mutants rise, she could not rely on others, but only on herself. Her companions gasped. Look! That's his mutant power. Wow, so cool. Is that what the strongest mutant can do? We need to work hard and help him in the fight against humans. Under his leadership, mutants will finally be free. Polaris hesitated, unsure if she should reveal the harsh reality to her friends. Before the white-haired devil, even if they were all mutants and of the same species, they were just ants like ordinary humans. That man, he stood in the sky, looking down on everything. Meanwhile, high above the city, Sumu heard the system notification. Spell Reversal, Heath Experience +1. Congratulations. Your skill Spell Reversal, Heath has leveled up.